Welcome back. A big thank you to everybody who supported our first episode. I'm T. This is E, and we've got ourselves a podcast, E and T podcast for now. So we're going to talk to you about some stuff for now. What did you think, Ev, first of all, about episode number 1 of our very own podcast?
I thought we did a pretty good job for first time.
I think so too. Did you actually go back and watch it, or did
I watched a little bit of it when I was editing it.
Okay, because we did have a couple of little technical glitches. I can see we have a technical glitch already. Our camera is kind of pointed wrong here. We don't have, fancy setups like some of these YouTubers and Insta stars that would give us the perfect setup. But we'll keep working on it. We'll keep making it happen. Do you know how many people watched it? Did you ever look at how many views the last couple of days?
There were maybe 30 views.
I thought it was closer to 50 when I saw it. I thought I saw 40,
really? I must have not checked it for a while. I haven't checked it for a while.
But anyway, I was pleased to find out that a few people reached out to me. I had no idea. Somebody told them, and then they watched it, so they didn't get it from, because the only way that we advertised the podcast was you told your Instagram followers, right? That's it. I didn't tell anybody. I didn't even tell my mom and dad. I didn't send grandma and grandpa the link. I probably should do that. They're going to be mad when they first get it. They're like, why didn't you tell us? Right? I think I told my brother Jay because he did the questions, but other than that, that was it. And so it's just your Instagram followers. So maybe if everybody just tells one more person, then we can get 100 people to watch. That's the goal eventually. Someday, 100 people, that sounds perfect to me. I don't want 10,000 people listening to me talk. I don't think that's interesting to anybody, and I'm not interested in doing that. But maybe you someday, right? You're going to be president of the United States. I think you would be awesome. No. Okay. So this is episode 2, and let's start it off by talking about what we've been watching, what we've been doing. It's been a week. As the kids say these days, been a minute. So what have you been doing? Yeah.
Well,
Okay, go ahead. There's a cat at the door. So go ahead.
I baked.
You baked? You bake it almost every day.
I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But I made these really good muffins.
Okay.
Yeah. And I went swimming a couple times at the neighbor pool.
It's been hot. You always, when it's wintertime, you always want summer to come because you're like, oh my gosh, I can't wait for the weather to be warm. All right, we got to do a little editing again. We got interrupted by Mom. We were talking about how hot it is and how you want hot weather, but once it gets here, then it's kind of miserable outside. You can slide over a little bit. Then it's kind of miserable outside and you don't really want to do anything. You go outside and you're sweating from just standing there and doing nothing.
Yeah.
But anyway, Mom just called. Why is she not home? She hasn't been home for about a week. She's been gone. We've been on our own here at the house without Mom. Why is Mom gone?
Because Grandpa's not doing well.
Because Grandpa had a heart attack. So we've been dealing with that. He's doing well. We're sending best wishes to him. He's home. He's resting up. He got a stent put in, and long and happy life from here on out, we hope. So, all right. Very good. What have you been watching? Other than our recommendations, we'll get to that in just a second.
Well, recently I've actually been watching Disney Plus now. I haven't watched much Outer Banks recently, but on Disney Plus I'm watching this show that's called
What's it called?
I Didn't Do It.
Is it any good?
It's good.
Okay, but it's like a Disney show?
Yeah, it's
kind of
like
like Jessie or Bonked or one of those. Those are good. Those are all right shows.
Yeah, they're just kind of like shows you don't really have to pay too much attention to, but it's just kind of entertaining.
Fair enough. My book finally came. I've been waiting and waiting. I ordered a book, and then it got delayed in the mail, and then today 2 copies of the book came because the one that got lost and the one that I sent. So I'm reading Dune because one of my favorite directors is going to try and direct this movie coming out. So I'm going to read Dune. And then for about 20 years or so, I took a break from gaming. right? I used to have Nintendo when I was a kid and Sega and play all those kinds of things, and I loved it. And then I had kids, and so I haven't been gaming at all. But during quarantine, we got a PlayStation 4. And we got a couple of games for it. We didn't really play it much until I downloaded a couple of games, and I've really been into them lately. One's called Uncharted, and one's called Red Dead Redemption. Red Dead Redemption 2. And so I'm trying to get into that one, but games are a little bit different. It feels like it's more like watching a movie and then occasionally doing something as the movie goes on. Then it feels like, the old Super Mario Brothers or something where it's just constant gaming all the time. So I'm adjusting to that a little bit and figuring out that it's more of an immersive thing rather than like an aggressive playing thing. And I kind of enjoy that because then I can use it to relax a little bit. And then I've been watching Community, which is a show about community college. This group that is going through community college, and it's pretty funny. But then I also watched the first episode of The Good Place. And I had no idea what The Good Place was. You gave me a little preview, but I didn't know. It has Kristen Bell in it.
I love her.
And it has Ted Danson in it. You don't know Ted Danson, but I know Ted Danson from when I was your age. He's Michael.
Oh.
Yeah. So he's from Cheers. I used to watch him on a show called Cheers, and I loved Cheers. That was one of my favorite sitcoms when I was a kid. It was just about a bar. He was the bartender at the bar. The name of the bar was Cheers. And then he also is in a show called Curb Your Enthusiasm. And it's an HBO show by the creator of Seinfeld. You've maybe heard of Seinfeld. But Curb Your Enthusiasm, fantastic. I would recommend that to anybody who's really funny. But Ted Danson's in that one too. So I saw Ted Danson and went, oh, I'm familiar with this. I can deal with this. And I thought it was really funny. I have some predictions. I only saw episode 1, but I have some predictions. You'll have to play with me because I'm going to wait to continue to watch it because I think your mom, my wife, is really going to love it too. It's definitely her kind of show, and I think she'll really get a kick out of it. So one of the things that I'm predicting is that the Buddhist monk guy, do you know who that is?
Yeah.
I think he's faking it too. I think Kristen Bell was a mistake there, and I think he's also a mistake, and he's trying to get by saying he's a Buddhist monk, and he's been sworn to secrecy, and he can't talk, but that's just because he doesn't want anybody to know that he's also supposed to be in the bad place, and so he's just sitting there quietly.
Okay, we have to see.
I also thought it was really, really funny. The funniest part was she asked Michael, who's like the angel, right? She goes to heaven, and this is like the angel there, and she asked him, so which religion was right? Who was it? Was it the Christians that were right? Was it the Muslims that were right? Was it the Buddhists that were right? And the answer that he gave was just wonderful for me. Do you remember what he said?
No.
He said everybody was about 5% right. He said the Hindus got about 5% of it. The Muslims got about 5% of it. The Christians got about 5% of it. The Buddhists got about, except there was this one guy, and then he goes on to talk about how this one guy went on a mad rant and got 92% of it correct. And he's their hero, and they put a portrait of him. So I thought that was really funny. That the good place, heaven, the afterlife, is actually a conglomerate of all of these different ideas that religions have about the afterlife. That, no, of course, nobody's 100% correct.
Yeah.
Right? And no, nobody knows for sure. So obviously, nobody's 100% correct. Everybody's about 5% correct.
Yeah.
And you put them all together, and you got your afterlife. I really like that.
Oh, yeah.
I thought that was cool. What'd you think of The Fresh Prince?
I think it's super funny.
It is fun. Who's your favorite character?
I like the butler guy.
Oh, sure. Jeeb, right?
Yeah, he's funny.
And they've got, have you met Jazz yet? Will's friend Jazz?
I think so, yeah.
Jazz is my favorite character.
I watched the first 2 episodes.
Okay. Do you like Carlton or Ashley better? They're the two of the siblings.
I like Ashley.
Okay. And then what's the, Vivian's the mom, Phil's the dad. I'm trying to think who's the older sister.
Oh, I don't remember her
Ashley
name.
Carlton, and she ends up being a weather girl. Just a spoiler alert for later seasons. God, I forget her name. Anyway, she's kind of spoiled.
Yeah.
Yes. So you're going to continue watching it?
Yeah.
So I can keep checking in with you of what do you think now and what's Will doing these days. And yeah, okay. Yeah, Will Smith is fantastic on that show. That is a great show. Okay, so make a recommendation for me. What am I going to watch this week?
Well, this morning I was looking for something to watch. I kind of wanted to watch some like game show or something. I was kind of like, oh, maybe a baking show, but then I came across.
I don't like baking shows.
Yeah, it's
you
not
recommend
a baking
show to me, I'm going to be against it.
I know.
I
love baking shows, but
I know.
So I came across The Floor is Lava. It's a new show from Netflix, and everybody's talking about it. I watched an episode, and it was pretty good. I mean, I don't see why people love it so much, but I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah. So is it like what everybody played as a kid?
Yeah.
Like you cannot touch the ground, and you got to try and make your way from one thing to the other. It's kind of like being at the Jumpstart trampoline park and being like, okay, you got to make it from here to over there without touching the pads. And you gotta
it's like, so there's a group, and then they have
it's a competition?
Yeah. Okay. And then they have to work together to get to a certain spot, and if they fall in, then they're done.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah.
So do you know what American Gladiators is? Okay,
I've heard
American
of it.
Gladiators is like what I picture Floor is Lava, only with giant buff people trying to prevent you, trying to knock you into the lava. Is there anybody trying to knock anybody into the lava?
No.
Is there any like moving things? Like what's the name of that show? Where are you?
Well, I only watched episode 1, but there is nothing that like moved.
Okay, so I'm dubious of this Floor is Lava if there is no laser or that's the name of a person, by the way. Laser. All of the gladiators had like intimidating names like that. So if there's nobody like that trying to push them into the lava, I am hesitant that I'm going to like this show.
Well, maybe later in the season there is, but
Is it like Ninja Warrior?
Yeah,
You know Ninja Warrior, right?
Sure. I mean, so there's 3 groups of people that are competing against each other to see who gets to the end with the most people.
I shuffled around and I knocked our camera.
Oh man.
This couch isn't that comfortable to sit sideways on like we're doing there. So
there we go.
Try it again. Maybe I'll get a different. Maybe if I put knee up like this, how's that? Is that better? No, don't edit it out. Who cares?
Okay.
It makes us feel like human beings.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So my recommendation for you is not a TV show.
Okay.
It's something to read.
Ugh.
Okay. So it is a short story. I'm not going to make you read a novel in a week. Okay. It is a short story. It will only take you 15 minutes to read. It's free online for anybody listening. Just go type this into Google. It is called The Final Question. The Final Question. Okay. Right? And so because of this good place and the idea that 5% of each religion is correct and all this, it is I guess kind of a science fiction story by one of my favorite writers, Isaac Asimov, a very famous science fiction writer. And it's called The Final Question. And you should read The Final Question. And maybe when you get to the end, you're going to want to go read it again to pick up on what's really going on during the story.
All right.
Short story, fantastic. It's called The Final Question by Isaac Asimov.
Gotcha.
Type it in. It'll be the first link. You click on the link, it'll give you a PDF of the story.
Okay.
Final Question. All right, so are you ready for the mailbag?
Yeah.
Mailbag time. All right, do you want to go first or you want me to go first? I have 4 questions, you have 3.
So you go first.
So I'll go first. Right, do you know who I got my questions from this week?
No.
I told you it was going to be a surprise. And when you found out who it was, you were going to be delighted. This is somebody who watched our podcast, and I was surprised. I reached out to them to see whether or not they wanted to write questions because I hadn't talked to them in too long, and I really missed this person.
Who?
You know who it is?
Who?
It is. Let me get the... I lost it.
Megan!
It's Megan Schwartz, yeah. So Megan was in one of my classes that I taught. And then how do you know Megan so well? Why do you know Megan?
Because we went to South Africa and my dad let us study abroad group there, and she was one of his students.
That's right. Megan traveled to South Africa with us, and it was great. We got to spend a month with her, and she really bonded with everybody in the family, and we got along great. And I kept in contact with her when we got home. She came to our house a few times, had coffee a few times. She's really just become a good friend of the family. I think maybe even she babysat.
She babysat overnight.
Yeah. So Megan has just become a really good family friend. And it was very exciting to get in touch with Megan and have her ask questions. And then I'm going to have her FaceTime all of us in the next couple of days here just so we can catch up. So are you ready? Here is the first question from Megan.
Ready.
Oh, it is about a question for you about me and me about you.
Okay.
And the question is, what's your favorite thing about each other?
Well, my favorite thing about you is, there's so many things.
Either that or there's nothing and you can't even think of it.
No.
Okay.
Do you have anything?
Sure. My favorite thing about, and it's hard to pick one, that's for sure. Yeah. So I might pick two, but one of my favorite things about you is your independence. You just love to figure things out on your own. You're not afraid to make a mistake and then have to do it, clean everything up and have to do it again. And sometimes clean up is literal and sometimes it's figurative, right? Mm-hmm. But you love to see something that you want to do or see some place that you want to go or see something that you want to make, and then you just go do it. You just say, hey, Dad, I'm going to, and then off you go, right? I'm going to create a bedroom up in the top of the shed. Can you help me with the extension cord to get the shop vac to reach 200 feet out of the house to get to the thing? Yes, I can, right? All of those individual things. Dad, I'm making these cranberry muffins because we have craisins that are going bad and we need to use the craisins. Okay, sure. And off you went and you make the muffins and you do all those kinds of things on your own. And I think it's just awesome. And it's going to make you a wonderful person as you continue to do that as you get older.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, I was thinking, and I love your dedication to our family. Like, I feel like your whole life has just like, you put so much into everybody in our family, and I love that about you because you care so much about us.
Aw, thanks, Al. I do. I'm glad that comes through sometimes because I know sometimes I get frustrated or I feel overwhelmed, and so everything feels like, somebody will ask me to do something and I'll go,
I know. I feel like if we ever ask you to do something, you never say no.
Yeah, okay.
Like sometimes you're like, oh, yeah, I'll do that. But you never say no.
That's true. Okay, very good. Who do you have that gave you questions?
My
and what's question number one?
questions are from another close friend of mine. Her name is Felicity.
She was over at the house the other day, and we haven't seen her very
Yeah.
much because of all this quarantine craziness. But you guys got to go outside and do like a social distancing, went for a walk, and hung out outside. That was very nice. Yeah.
So her first question is, what is one place you've always wanted to go and why?
Oh my gosh. So hold on. Let me show you question 2. Question 2 from Megan says, if you could go anywhere in the world, where would you visit and why? It's this
Wow.
great minds think alike. Felicity and Megan, when you guys come into town, you should get together. You would really enjoy each other. You know my answer because I get asked this question quite a bit because I've been very fortunate in my life to be able to travel a lot of places. And so I get asked quite often, number 1, what's your favorite place you've ever been? And number 2, if you could go anywhere new, where would it be and why? Do you know my answer? I think you do. If I say it, I think you do.
I think, I don't even know.
Take a guess. Because
I know there's so many places probably.
Wow, the world's a big, awesome, amazing place. So yes.
Take a guess?
Yeah, take a guess.
Didn't you say that you, maybe this was Mom, but someone wanted to go back to Paris.
That's maybe Mom.
Yeah.
I've been to Paris a couple of times, and that's I'd like to go back, but it's not on my priorities. Japan.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, Japan. I would love to go to Japan because I'm very interested in their culture. And I would like to spend an extended amount of time in Japan, right? I would love to go and see the beauty. Let's see Mount Fuji and do some hiking and go on on the water and go and do all the beautiful things that are in Japan, because it is a beautiful country. But I would also like to go there and just learn from the culture. I think the people of Japan do so many things very well that I think we here in the United States, and me who's in education, could really learn from. Right?
Mm-hmm.
For example, a friend of mine has a parent that they are moving and having troubles with adjusting to the idea of assisted living, moving them from their house into an assisted living facility. And it's expensive and it's super hard to find, and people don't want to go because they are not confident that they're going to really get cared for in the way they should get cared for. And I just think we don't do elder care in the United States well at all. I don't think we take care of people when they're getting older or they're dying. And from what I understand, I don't know without being there, Japan does this really, really well. I think we can learn from that. Also, their education and some of the methods they use, is particularly with the difference in our use of standardized testing and their use of standardized testing, and the way we use grades and the way they use grades as incentives. There are differences that I think would be awesome. So Japan.
All right. I've always said that I want to go to like Hawaii or the Bahamas, just because obviously I'm still super young and I've been plenty of places, but those are two places that like I just really wanted to go. Even though I went to Costa Rica already, like, and you always tell me like, you went to Costa Rica, can't get more tropical than that. But I don't know, whenever I see pictures of like the Bahamas or Hawaii, I just get these good vibes.
Sure. But I've never been to the Bahamas. I've been to Hawaii.
Mm-hmm.
Costa Rica and Hawaii are very similar.
Yeah.
Hawaii has some more dramatic landscapes, and so some more dramatic differences in because they're islands and because they are so far out in the middle of the ocean. But I think as far as weather and lushness and wildlife and all those kinds of things, and the ocean, of course, and beautiful beaches,
Yeah.
I think you're going to get a very similar feel from Costa Rica.
Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, ready? We're already to question 3 for me and then 2 from you, right?
Okay.
What is your favorite thing to do as a family? Very family, very us-oriented here. That's good. I like talking about ourselves.
Favorite thing to do with the family? Well, even though it's like really small, I like when we just, you know how like the other day we went on like a family walk. I just kind of enjoy that.
Yeah.
Just like talking and just being with each other. I think I enjoy that.
So I think my answer is similar for the same reasons. My favorite thing to do is travel.
Yeah.
Whenever we travel as a family, I think we do awesome. Usually takes us 2 or 3 days, right? And we're away from the comforts of home. We're away from the privacy that we all like. We all go to our own spots in the house occasionally.
Yeah.
More than occasionally, probably, and kind of separate. We're really lucky to be able to have physical space that we can separate like that. And it takes us a couple of days. We usually fight a little bit and get short with each other the first couple of days, and then it really goes really well. I feel like we have a wonderful time goofing around, and we always come up with some funny saying, funny thing that we'll repeat and do. And so yeah, I like to travel. Even when we went to, because of quarantine and everything, we're not traveling much, but we went to like a secluded-ish cabin on the lake, and we were there for 4 days, and that was perfect. That worked out really nice too. That was nice.
That was fun.
Question number 2 from Felicity.
All right. Well, this one's like for you, like about me.
Okay, so then we'll have to figure out a way to flip it to.
So, what would you have named me if I was going to be a boy?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't remember.
Really?
I don't remember.
Mom always talked about the name Desmond.
Yeah, okay, so that was a possibility. Desmond is the name of my grandpa, and we really like that name. We really like the name Desmond. A couple people in our family / extended family have used that name.
Yeah, like our cousin.
Cousin Max, his middle name is Desmond. Yep. So that's a possibility. I don't remember though. I don't remember ever really loving a boy name and thinking, that's it, that's the one. That's it, that's the name. You know, we didn't know Alexis's name until after she was born. We hadn't decided on a name.
Oh, really?
Mm-mm.
So many people, they figure out they're pregnant, and then, right away, they're like, names.
Yeah, well, we did that. We talked about names a lot. It's a fun way to connect with each other and get excited about having a kid, is to talk about potential names. And so we talked a lot about it. Mm-hmm. But we really liked that we didn't know whether boy or girl or anything about the pregnancy at all, right? Healthy baby, looking good. All right, we'll see you when it's time to have the kid. That's it, right? We didn't do 4 ultrasounds and all these different things. You know, we just did the one halfway through.
As of right now, I would definitely want to know the gender.
Okay. I mean,
I don't know.
I like the surprise. I like not knowing. I don't know. I don't know.
I think I would get too anxious. I'd be like, I need to know.
Yeah. Sure. There are not too many surprises in this world. There's that one, genuine one, to be able to meet your child for the first time and not really have any expectations. Having, you're not, no visible disappointment, nothing, right? It's just, it's wonderful. So, all right. If I was a girl, what do you think my name would be?
I don't know.
So pretend mom married another woman and they had children, and now it's Julie and?
Julianne.
Huh.
Terrence. I guess that's kind of a close name.
Teresa, or how about Terry, Teri?
Oh, yeah.
It can still be Terry.
True.
Yeah, that would be nice. All right. Next question. Oh, just hold on. I lost it. There we go.
Okay.
What's your most recent favorite book that you've read?
Ooh.
I should have read these questions before so that I really knew the answer, but okay. Recent favorite book.
Well, my favorite, so I have a favorite series and a favorite book.
Okay, good. Do it.
So my favorite series is the Selection series, which I'm so excited they're making a movie. Okay. I'm super excited for that because the Selection series is I read it last year and I loved it, and a lot of my friends have read it and they loved it too. Alexis, my older sister's read it, she loved it.
So what's it about? Give me the short.
The Selection is about a girl, and she gets picked to be one of the group of girls to marry the prince. Right?
Okay.
Yeah, so they get randomly selected and put in a group that go to the castle to, it's kind of like the Bachelorette or Bachelor or whatever,
Okay.
So, yeah, and then but then it's basically like this love triangle because she has this guy from home that she absolutely loves. She thought she was going to spend the rest of her life with him. But then all of a sudden she kind of starts falling in love with the prince. So then it's kind of like, who will she choose? Yeah, it's really good.
And when is this show coming out?
They haven't, I don't think they've announced an official date yet, but it's a movie and it's coming on Netflix.
Oh, it's going to be a Netflix show, a Netflix series.
Yep.
Okay, so most recent...
Wait, favorite book?
Yeah, I know.
Me?
Yeah.
I have a favorite book and a favorite series.
Oh, right. My bad.
My favorite book is by Kirsten Hanna. It's a romance book.
Okay.
It's called
Yeah?
Night Road. Night Road.
Ah.
That's a really good book, too. If you like romance novels, definitely read Night Road by Kirsten Hanna.
All right. So I recently spent way too much time reading a series of books that I didn't really like. Do you remember those books?
Oh, yeah. I remember you're like, well, I'm almost done with it, so I have to
Yeah,
finish it.
right. Yeah, it ended up being about 1,000 pages total. It was 3 books. It won the It won the Hugo Award. It won the Hugo Award 3 straight years, each 3 of the books. So I kept thinking that this is going to get better. This must be amazing. It's going to be awesome. And a podcaster that I listened to recommended this series. It's just not that good.
Huh.
So I feel like I was really disappointed in that. But, I mean, whatever. But my favorite book that I read recently is by one of my favorite authors. His name is Haruki Murakami. And I read a book called A Wild Sheep Chase. A Wild Sheep Chase. Murakami wrote a book, for the listeners out there, Wind Up Bird Chronicle is maybe his most famous book, or Kafka on the Shore. Those are both excellent, and I maybe rank them a little bit ahead of Wild Sheep Chase, but I love the way Murakami writes. He is an author that takes mundane happenings in the world, right? Things that are just you and me sitting in the kitchen, opening a can of soda, right? And puts a little that's not a fantasy twist though, right? By a little like supernatural twist, a little, there's something strange going on here, a little, is this real or is this in somebody's imagination? And those threads kind of weave throughout each book all the time and gives you insight into what the characters are thinking. And so I really love, it's always books and stories that make me think. I put the book down right after I've read a couple of chapters, and I'll think about it while I'm doing other things. Like, why is he doing that? Why was he? The Wind Up Bird Chronicle, there's a well. A person falls in the well, and I thought about that well for weeks before, finally the well went out of my mind. So Murakami.
Cool.
All right, next question for you. Mailbag is rolling along this week.
All right. Last question.
Yep.
What have been, not 1, not 2, but the 3?
Oh my gosh, I'm not going to come up with 3 off the top of my head. I don't care what it is.
Okay, you can just do 1 if you want. The happiest times of your life.
Oh my gosh, happy. Okay, so I can come up with 3 here.
Yeah,
that's fine.
That's what I thought.
Sure. So I'm going first, and you've thought of 3?
No, but I'll think right now.
Okay, so 3, I don't know. So I'm going to probably change. It's one of those things where you probably change your answer depending on how you feel, depending on the place you are, people you've been with recently. 3 happiest times in my life. Okay, so I think at my wedding reception, I remember sitting there and looking out, and we're in this big hall where there's hundreds of people there and everybody's having a great time, and just remembering, this is awesome. This is great. All my family's here, all my wife's family's here, friends are here, everybody's having an awesome time. All the work that we put into it, all the ideas that we came up with, it was just looking out and taking a moment to go, oh, this is really cool. That was super fun. So that was a happy time in my life. Do you remember, a recent one is, do you remember when we were in South Africa?
Yeah.
That one night we went and we drove maybe 45 minutes or so, and we went to like this winery that had a pond.
Oh, yeah.
And there was a live band there, and there was all kinds of little food stations around. And we sat in the building, and Mom bought her picture there, the picture that then we had all those troubles with. Do you remember that night, what I'm talking about?
I remember wineries, but I don't remember the exact place.
Okay, so this was not the winery that we went on with just Beth and Brandon and Cato. It wasn't the ones that we went on with the Gagemeyers. It was this. We went and a bunch of us and a bunch of students.
Okay.
Okay, and there was live music playing there, and it was just, there was not a care in the world. It was a beautiful place. Everything was moving really slow. The music was great. We were all just hanging out and everybody was laughing. And I even have a video where somebody took a video of like a 360 view of what we were doing at the time. And it's amazing.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
just
that's
awesome.
a
When I
trip.
think back on the South Africa trip, that's one of the things that I think about is, oh man, that was so awesome. That was so nice. We just had this opportunity to be in this amazing place with these amazing people and hang out. So that's number 2. Let me think of a third while you go with your 3.
All right. Well, 1. I don't know if I can even do 3 because, like, oh, my life is like I've barely even gone through my life. I don't
Yeah.
even know.
Well,
There's
that's
so
okay.
many more things.
Best
to
3
count,
things
so.
this week.
I
I'm
don't
kidding.
know.
I'm sorry.
Definitely a time in South Africa. It was. I can't think of a specific time in Africa, but like there were so many like little things that it was just like I just looked around and it was just like, wow, this is like amazing. And then gosh, I don't know. That's so hard. It's like a deep question.
It is.
Yeah. I don't know. That I would have to think about that forever.
How about one of the things that I'm thinking? Oh, okay, I got 2 things in my head now, but one of the things I'm thinking of is when our family did our trip to the national parks out west in Utah
Oh yeah.
and
fun.
Grand Canyon and all those places. We have got to fix that.
Yeah, we definitely need to get something else.
Next week we got to get something. We were at a place called Sand Dune Arch. We ended up going there
remember
2,
that.
maybe 3 times.
That
because
was so much
everybody-
fun.
Well, you could climb up these rocks. The kids buried each other in the sand. It wasn't, there was shade, so it wasn't super hot. It was quick. It was off the road. And just one of those days and one of those places where you kind of look around and you feel like you're in a different world.
Yeah.
And you're with your family and you're so happy and everybody's just having a great time. And
Yeah.
so can you name one other? Because then we can wrap it up.
Okay. Yeah, I'll try to name one other time. I was very happy.
That's okay. Maybe we can come back next week.
Yeah,
You know,
maybe.
it gives people something to look forward to. We can put a number 1 on our list of things to discuss.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So that was another awesome episode, ENT Podcast for now. Thanks to everybody for watching. Spread the word to other people. We'll try and keep them. Looks like we're at about 40 minutes here again. That's going to kind of be
Perfect.
our time here. So,
Okay.
all right. Thanks, Ev.
Yeah, thank you.
That's where you hit the button and turn it off.